So guys, this is President Suharto, nicknamed as the Smiling Journal. He was the second and the longest serving president of Indonesia, or more precisely a military dictator whose authoritarian regime lasted for more than 3 fucking decades. But maybe that's not the most interesting thing about him. The interesting thing is that he was regarded as the world's most corrupt leader, with numerous reports accusing him of stealing billions of dollars and causing losses of billions of dollars for the Indonesian government. Now, there is an entire rabbit hole of research and evidence of corruption committed by President Suharto and how he distributed the wealth among his family members. But this video is more about the brutal side of his dictatorship and how his dictatorship is responsible for committing numerous genocide in the 20th century. So let's start off a video with a Southeast Asian island by the name of East Timor.
East Timor, 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 East Timor.
Now the island of Timor is divided into two parts. The eastern part has its own independent government, while the western part is under the control of Indonesia. The total population of the eastern side is more than 1 million, and the total area is more than 1500 square kilometers. The predominant religion here is Christianity, and according to an archaeological study conducted in 2005, it was found out that humans first stepped on this island about 42,000 years ago. So let me just give you a quick history of this island so things start to make more sense. In the 13th century, the island is mainly famous for its sandalwood, honey and wax, and due to having a high quality of sandalwood, a lot of European sailors start directing their ship towards that island. And by the end of 16th century, the island was colonized by Portuguese, while the western part was colonized by Dutch a century later. In the 18th century, the two nations of that time, Portuguese and Netherlands, started living on this island, and soon after settling on this island, a border dispute arose between the two nations. However, before things get ugly, both of these nations signed a formal peace treaty by the name of Treaty of Lisbon, through which they resolved their border dispute and peace was established on this island for some time. But not for so long. And then comes the 19th century. World War I broke out and Japan started the invasion of Southeast Asia and comes all the way to this island. Upon hearing the news of arrival of Japanese in East Timor, the British Empire sent a special force which is known as Sparrow Force. The main motive of the Sparrow Force is to stop the Japanese invasion. However, after a year or so of fighting with Japanese, the Sparrow Force withdrew from East Timor because they have realized that they were not able to stop the Japanese invasion. And Japanese took advantage of this opportunity and did exactly what they were known for at that time: war crimes. It was estimated that more than 60,000 East Timoris were killed by Japanese during the invasion of East Timor. However, then comes 1945.
A state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
Then this happened. Japan surrendered and gave the control of Timor back to Portuguese. It was a time when various imperial powers started decolonization. The British were kicked out of India by Gandhi, the Dutch were thrown out of Indonesia by President Sukarno. But at that time, one nation refuses to decolonize and tend to argue that this nation do not have any colonies. In fact, every colony which that nation has is just an overseas province of that nation. Let me just give you a quick example. Consider the British Empire saying that India is not a British colony. It is just an overseas province of Britain. Portugal at that time was under a rule of dictator Marcelo Coutinho, who refuses to decolonize by making such an absurd argument that Portugal do not have any colonies. In fact, colonies are just overseas province. On hearing the news of Portugal dictator Marcelo Coutinho refuses to decolonization, people in East Timor form a resistance movement by the name of Fretilin, and Fretilin started a war with Portugal to gain their independence. However, things changed radically on April 25, 1974, when a left-leaning military coup by the name of Carnation Revolution overthrew the dictatorship in Portugal and reinstored democracy. A left-leaning military coup reinstalling democracy? I think communism is not that bad. Now, to further understand what happened, let me just give you a quick history of Indonesia.
Indonesia now.
The state of Indonesia is responsible for and guilty of crimes against humanity.
The Indonesian military intentionally killed approximately 1 million innocent civilians.
It's been called the largest unrecognized mass killing of the 20th century.
Declassified documents show the U.S. government was not just aware of what was happening, it helped.
As the atrocities reached their maximum peak in 1978, when it really was becoming genocidal, coverage dropped to zero in the United States and Canada, the two countries we looked at closely, literally dropped to zero.
In 1945, when Indonesia emerged as a new sovereign state of 20th century with a population of more than 100 million people at that time, it was a period of Cold War, and Indonesia could be a key ally for both Soviet Union and for United States of America. And the Indonesian founding president Sukarno in 1956 went on a visit to USSR and met with Nikita Khrushchev to tighten the relationship between Indonesia and USSR. Now, due to this rising friendship with communist countries, something bad was about to happen in Indonesia, like really bad. On September 30, 1965, an unknown organization who called themselves a part of Indonesian National Armed Forces attempted a military coup. And on October 1st, 1965, that organization has killed more than 6 high-ranking Indonesian army generals. And later on that day, the organization also proclaimed that they have taken control over the communication center of the country. However, by the evening of October 1st, the coup attempt was crushed by Indonesian military. But right after that, things get really ugly in Indonesia.
It's been called the largest unrecognized mass killing of the 20th century.
Because the identity of that organization was unknown, the Indonesian military put the entire blame on PKI and argued that they were communists who attempted a military coup. And right after that, they started a genocidal campaign in Indonesia, which lasted more than 1 year, in which millions of people lost their life. Most of them were members of PKI. PKI, which was one time in history, was the third largest communist party. Right after that genocidal campaign, just become vanished into thin air. The Indonesian founding president Sukarno was ousted from office by President Suharto, and he emerged as a new pro-Western leader of Indonesia. And on 1974, President Suharto ordered the Indonesian military to invade the eastern part of Timor and to capture it. He basically justified the invasion by saying that they have noticed some sort of communist activity in East Timor. And as you can guess, when the Western countries heard the word communism, they not only just supported the invasion, they also supported the dictatorship of President Suharto.
Declassified documents show the U.S. government was not just aware of what was happening, it helped.
It was estimated that more than 200,000 East Timoris lost their life as a result of that invasion. Suharto ruled over Indonesia for more than 30 years, and this genocidal campaign against East Timoris lasted for more than 3 fucking decades. It was not until 1998 when Suharto was ousted from office by B.J. Habibie, who by the way is third and the shortest serving president of Indonesia, who also served as a minister in Suharto regime, ordered a referendum in East Timor in which he asked East Timoris whether they want to become a part of Indonesia or they want to become an independent nation. And as a result of that referendum, more than 78% East Timoris voted for their independence. But they paid a huge price for that. Right after that referendum, Indonesian military launched a surprise bloody attack on East Timoris, in which 1,500 East Timoris lost their lives. Things became so out of control in East Timor that UN-led Australian troops were deployed in East Timor to calm this situation down. And in 2001, first democratic election was conducted in East Timor, and East Timor's elected their first democratic leader by the name of Jose Alexandra. And finally, in 2002, East Timor emerged as a new sovereign state of 21st century. And a couple of months ago, East Timor also became a part of ASEAN. So guys, this is for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you do enjoy the video, then make sure to like this video, and I'll see you all in next video. Take care. Bye.